If you are hearing these words, you are already standing at the hinge of timelines. Not a metaphorical hinge, an actual pivot in your field where countless versions of your life hum side by side, waiting for your signal. You are not stuck because destiny forgot you. You are held in place because your system is still tuned to the music of yesterday. Mind, breath, posture, emotion. Each has been broadcasting familiarity, and the quantum obediently mirrors it back. The field does not bend to desperation or hurry. It organizes around coherence. And coherence begins the instant who you are inside matches the world you say you want to live in. This is why willpower grows tired, why affirmations lose their shine, why vision boards begin to feel like decorations for a life you cannot quite touch. You may be speaking abundance while your body clenches at every bill. You may be rehearsing love while your heart stays guarded behind old armor. The quantum does not listen to the loudest statement. It listens to the dominant signal, the tone carried by your whole being. When the body whispers, "not safe," and the mind shouts, "I'm ready," the field answers the whisper, not as punishment, simply as physics. So let us begin where change actually begins. State before strategy, coherence before action. Feel this with me. Notice your shoulders. Let them soften by a breath. Notice the space in your chest. Give it 3 slow inhales as if you were drawing light through the center of your sternum. Do nothing fancy, nothing mystical. Just allow your nervous system to taste safety for a moment. Safety is not the end goal. It is the on-ramp. A safe system can receive. A safe system can update. A safe system can match a new frequency without collapsing back into the old one. Here is the simplest and most radical truth you will hear today. The version of you who lives the life you long for is not far away. It is vibrationally adjacent, separated from you by habits of feeling. When you shift the feeling, you shift the frequency. When you shift the frequency, you select a timeline. And when you hold that selection, reality coheres. This is the quantum shift. Not forcing matter, but becoming such a clear signal that matter has no choice but to arrange itself accordingly. You are not asking the universe to deliver a future. You are meeting the you who already lives there and inviting your biology to catch up. If a quiet yes is rising in you, honor it. Let it land in a single, simple gesture that marks the end of your old loop and the beginning of your new coherence. Type 99, only the number. Consider it a small seal on a large decision, completion of what no longer fits, permission for your field to move. And if this message feels like the tone your life has been searching for, stay close. Subscribe so we can keep this frequency steady together. Brief, daily calibrations to help you return to the signal when the world gets loud. Not noise, not hype, a lighthouse you can see from anywhere on the sea of your day. As you breathe, notice what is already changing. The mind will try to negotiate with the past, to bargain with old certainty, to say, prove it first. But the quantum does not negotiate. It resonates. It reads posture. It reads breath. It reads the unspoken expectation in the muscles of your face. In a few minutes, we will go beneath the surface and name the real forces that keep you looping, the invisible contracts with familiarity, the subconscious observer that collapses your wave before your intention has a chance to arrive. For now, feel the threshold under your feet. This is not the moment you wish for change. This is the moment you become the signal that change recognizes. Keep your attention here. One breath, one softening, one choice at a time. The field is listening, and in what comes next, you will learn why desire alone stalls, how the hidden dominant signal decides your outcomes, and how to begin shifting it from the inside out so the new timeline can finally hold you. Let us walk straight to the lever that actually moves reality. The quantum field does not weigh your to-do list, your mood board, or the enthusiasm in your voice. It tastes the composite flavor of you, the tone created by your breath pattern, your baseline emotion, the posture you wear when no one is looking, the expectation you carry in your gut when you make the smallest choice. That composite is your dominant signal. It is quiet, steady, and decisive. It is the current beneath the surface that steers the whole river, no matter how hard your conscious mind paddles on top. This is why bright declarations often produce dim results. If the sentence says, "I trust," While the shoulders are braced for impact, the field mirrors the brace. If the lips say, "I am abundant," while the stomach tightens at the point of payment, the field mirrors the tightness. Not as judgment, but as coherence. It organizes around what is most consistent, not what is most dramatic. And what is most consistent is usually the rhythm trained into your nervous system by repetition. The morning rush that never slows, the way you scan for what might go wrong, the subtle flinch you feel before you speak your truth. These micro habits of feeling become a metronome, and the universe keeps time with that beat. There is another player backstage who must be named if you want real change, the observer that lives below thought. Your conscious mind can intend a new outcome, yet an older observer, assembled from memories, survival strategies, and inherited stories, keeps collapsing the same probability over and over. It does this without words. It does it by recognizing a familiar pattern and saying, "This is reality," before your intention has a chance to arrive. You will know this observer is running the show when life keeps changing costumes while the emotion stays the same. New job, same pressure. New relationship, same aloneness. New plan, same delay. The faces rotate, the feeling repeats. That repetition is evidence of a loyal observer doing its ancient job. Keep us safe by keeping us the same. So how do you shift an observer you cannot see? You do not argue with it. You give it a new environment to observe. That environment is your state. When you teach your body the sensation of safety without waiting for circumstances to justify it, the observer records new data. When you practice the feeling of enoughness in the middle of paying a bill, the observer logs a different conclusion. When you soften your chest during a difficult conversation and stay present long enough to be moved rather than armored, the observer learns that openness does not equal danger. These moments are not symbolic. They are biochemical updates. Each one alters the tone that your field broadcasts, and the field responds to tone. Begin with one ordinary moment, and let it be holy. Notice the instant your day tries to speed you up. Instead of tightening to meet the speed, lengthen one exhale. Let your shoulders drop by the weight of a coin. Name the emotion honestly, fear, hurry, doubt, and then, with tenderness, add 1 degree of warmth to your chest. Not a performance of gratitude, an actual softening. That single act changes the architecture of the next act, because state chooses perception, and perception chooses behavior, and behavior chooses timeline. Do this twice, and you will feel a sliver of space. Do it daily, and the metronome changes tempo. Keep going, and the old observer begins to miss its cues. Understand something essential. You do not need to bulldoze your past to broadcast a new future. You need to stop rehearsing what hurts and start rehearsing what helps. Rehearsal is not only mental, it is somatic. Imagine the version of you who already lives where you are going. Then borrow one trait of their presence today, their pace, their gentleness, their steadiness under pressure, and wear it for the next hour as if it were natural. At first, it will feel like costume, then like memory, eventually like home. When it becomes home, the field does not need convincing. It recognizes the address. If you are listening closely, you can feel the simplicity inside the complexity. The world outside rearranges when the world inside stabilizes. Not all at once, not by thunderbolt, but by a series of precise answers to a clear tone. Hold that tone a little longer than you did yesterday. When the mind demands proof, return to breath. When the body reaches for armor, reach for warmth. You are training the dominant signal to tell a new truth about you, and the quantum will echo it faithfully. In a moment, we will step into the mechanics of entanglement between thought and emotion, why your heart's rhythm calibrates your brain's clarity, and how coherence turns intention from wish into instruction. Stay with me as we translate mystery into something you can feel, practice, and trust. There is a hidden switch, and it doesn't live inside a thought, it lives in rhythm. Your brain speaks in electricity, your heart broadcasts in magnetism, and together they create the field the world answers to. When those signals quarrel, fast, jagged thoughts riding on a tight chest, the message you send is scattered like trying to speak while you're out of breath. When they harmonize, clear thought resting on a steady, warm pulse, the message becomes a single tone the quantum can lock onto. That harmony has a simple name: coherence. Coherence is not a mood. It is a physiological conversation you can feel in real time. Notice what worry does. Breath shortens, shoulders rise, the gut tightens, and the mind scans for proof that the unease is justified. The scan finds what it looks for, the loop closes, and the old timeline reasserts itself. But the loop is not fate. It's a rhythm, and rhythms can be retimed. Lengthen one exhale until the belly loosens. Let the shoulders settle. Soften the space behind the breastbone by a few degrees. As the heart's wave smooths, the brain's electricity organizes. A wall becomes a doorway. Same life, different signal. Think of the heart as the conductor and the brain as a brilliant first violin. If the conductor flails, even perfect technique sounds chaotic. When the baton steadies, the violin's genius is heard. This is why analysis fails under stress. The instrument is fine. The tempo is not. Coherence sets the tempo. It doesn't make life easy. It makes you musical, and music carries weight that noise cannot. You've felt field effects 1,000 times, a room calming when one grounded person arrives, a conversation turning brittle when someone armored sits down. Those are signals mingling. When you cultivate coherence, you're not only steadying yourself, you're offering a tuning fork that invites reality to organize around the tone you hold. People hear you differently. Solutions appear that would not reveal themselves to a body broadcasting threat. The same plan, the same call, a different response. Nothing mystical. Just a clear signal finally reaching its receiver. The mind loves declarations. I will, I must, I'm ready. The body believes evidence. Breath that says there is time, posture that says we are safe enough to open, a chest that says there is room for thought and feeling to share the same space. Give the body this evidence and it stops interrupting the mind with alarms. The alarms quiet, attention returns, and intention becomes instruction rather than wish. From the outside it looks like confidence. From the inside it feels like ease. From the field's point of view, it reads as coherence. And coherence is the only language the quantum never mistranslates. How does this help when bills are due or a hard conversation waits? Compare action while braced with action while steady. The task might be identical, a boundary named, a call placed, but outcomes diverge because the carrier wave diverges. Braced action smells of scarcity and attracts friction. Steady action smells of sufficiency and attracts support. Reality isn't rewarding virtue or punishing panic. It's synchronizing to the most stable broadcast. Your job is to make the frequency you prefer the one you can hold. Begin small. Place your palm at the center of your chest for one deliberate breath before you open your inbox. Unclench your jaw before you answer the message you've been avoiding. Feel the ground under your feet as you look at the number in your account. And let one long exhale remind your body that seeing a figure and being in danger are not the same. These aren't pretty habits. They are mechanical levers. Each one tells the nervous system, we are safe enough to be wise, and wisdom arrives on that cue like a bird to an open hand. You will still wobble. Coherence does not erase weather. It teaches you to sail. Gusts of old fear will visit. Swells of old stories will rise. When they do, remember, the goal isn't permanent calm, it's reliable return. The moment you notice you've left the signal, you're already near it. Breathe once. Warm the chest once. Choose one sentence that belongs to the self you are rehearsing. The orchestra will find you again. If this landing place feels right and you want a steady reminder to return to it, stay close, subscribe now so we can keep practicing coherence together in short, calm pulses that meet you exactly when the world gets loud. In a breath, we step from sensing coherence to wearing it, moving from understanding into embodiment, where your choices, voice, pacing, and presence begin to match the timeline you're calling in. The next breath is where theory becomes your new home. There is a quiet chooser inside you who speaks long before words form. It is the you that flinches a little at unknown doors, the you that braces at the sight of an email header, the you that decides in a heartbeat whether the world is safe enough to open or dangerous enough to shrink. That chooser, call it the observer beneath your thoughts, collapses possibility into path long before your logic catches up. If it stays married to yesterday's alarms, it will keep selecting yesterday's reality, no matter how beautifully your conscious mind dreams of tomorrow. This is not failure. It is physics wearing a human nervous system. Most people try to outthink this chooser. They stack affirmations, rehearse outcomes, argue themselves into courage. But the observer you are trying to persuade does not speak argument. It speaks sensation. It believes breath more than sentences. It trusts posture more than plans. It learns from repetition, from the way your shoulders settle after you tell the truth and are still loved, from the way your stomach softens when you look at a bill and discover that you could meet it without abandoning yourself. Each of these moments updates the chooser's map. Each update is a vote for a different timeline. Start where the body keeps the old stories. Notice the reflexes that announce them. The micro-holding pattern in the throat before you ask for what you need. The small forward tilt that says hurry even when no one is chasing you. The eyes that scan for exits during conversations that matter. You do not have to fight these reflexes. Meet them. Let the exhale be a little longer than the inhale until the chest warms. Let the tongue rest on the floor of the mouth so the jaw unlocks and the neck remembers it is not a spear. Let your weight pour into your feet as if the ground had been waiting its whole life to hold you. To the subconscious, these are not niceties. They are proof. Proof reduces threat. Reduced threat widens choice. Wider choice invites a new world. You will feel the old observer trying to reclaim the stage with very sensible reasons to delay. Later, when you're ready. Later, when the signs are clearer. Later, when you're less tired. Smile at that guardian. It is not your enemy. It is a loyal archivist that learned to protect you with contraction. Thank it for the years it kept watch, and then give it better data. Make one small promise you can keep today and keep it gently. Speak one sentence of honest desire and stay with the flush that follows until it fades on its own. Spend one coin without the ceremony of panic and notice that the sky does not dim. The chooser records each of these as evidence that expansion is survivable. Enough evidence becomes preference. Preference becomes baseline. Baseline becomes broadcast. This is how you stop looping. Not by waging war on fear, but by lowering the noise floor inside your system until your signal can be heard. In that quiet, the world rearranges around your steadiness. People who once mistook your softness for permission begin to meet your clarity with respect because you deliver it without edge. Opportunities that passed you by start pausing at your door because your field no longer smells of urgency. It smells of readiness. Even time behaves differently, stretching during deep presence so you can finish what matters, collapsing around decisions that used to require days of spiraling and now resolve inside a clean minute. If you want a picture to carry forward, carry this one. You standing in an ordinary hallway, hand on an ordinary doorknob, doing nothing dramatic. Only 3 calm breaths and a small unclenching behind the sternum. You open the door as the person you are rehearsing, not the person you default to. The conversation that follows is different because you were different first. The timeline bends by a few degrees. Tomorrow arrives slightly re-angled. Repeat this arc often enough, and the destination becomes unrecognizable in the best way. Rewriting the observer is not a weekend project. It is a courtship. Court it with reliable returns to yourself, with promises scaled to your current capacity, with the dignity of slow upgrades that actually hold. The moment you treat your nervous system like an ally instead of an obstacle, it will carry you across thresholds you could not bully your way through. And as the chooser changes, so does the world it keeps selecting. In the very next chapter, we take this inner rewriting outward into choices, language, and presence that quietly instruct reality to meet you at your new frequency. A timeline does not claim you with fireworks. It settles in through the smallest moments, the unnoticed seconds where you would usually hurry, apologize, explain, or numb. If the inner observer is the hand on the dial, micro-alignment is the steady turning that brings the music into tune. This is the art of letting ordinary choices carry extraordinary instruction to the field. This is who I am now. Begin with the way you enter a room. Not the choreography, but the transmission. Most people cross thresholds as fugitives, half inside, half calculating exits, attention split in case the air turns sharp. Today, let your weight arrive. Let the soles of your feet find the floor and stay for a heartbeat longer than habit. Breathe once as if you were greeting a friend you trust. Nothing visible has changed, yet everything is different. You have informed the space that you are not here to perform for approval or to bargain for belonging. You are here to relate, to contribute, to choose. Rooms learn quickly, so does reality. Carry this into money, where nervous systems tend to rehearse their oldest scripts. You do not have to pretend a bill is romantic to shift your signal. You only have to meet it without collapse. Open the statement, breathe past the first ripple, and speak a quiet sentence of authorship. I choose how this is handled. Then act in a way your future self would respect, even if the amount is small, especially if the amount is small.
Scarcity is a tempo as much as a circumstance.
When you slow the tempo, the song cannot rush you into lesser choices. That steadiness is noticed. Support appears where panic used to scare it off. Now to love, where the field is exquisitely literal. The timeline of connection does not wait for the perfect person to grant you permission to be open. It asks you to become slightly more available in the next conversation you already have. Let the eyes stay for a second after you finish speaking. Let one truth be said without the insulating joke that would usually soften it. If tenderness feels like standing on a cliff, bring your body into the moment until the ground returns. Hands warm on your thighs, breath low and round, shoulders released. This is coherence in action. Thought, emotion, and physiology collaborating to keep the channel clear. Clear channels receive. Health answers the same law. You cannot bully a nervous system into vitality and call it devotion. Speak to your body the way you would speak to a beloved apprentice, firm with direction, generous with praise. Feed it as if it were already healing because in response to your attention it is. Move it as if it were built for joy because that memory has not left its fibers. Rest it before it begs. When the mind calls this softness weakness, remember that repair is not indulgence. It is the infrastructure of momentum. Strength built without tenderness fractures. Strength built with tenderness holds. Notice how temptation will try to make this grand and therefore unsustainable. It will whisper that a new life requires a dramatic declaration, a 1,000-day challenge, a perfect streak. Resist spectacle. Spectacle belongs to the old contract of worthiness. Earn your place, prove your change, exhaust yourself into acceptance. Micro-alignment belongs to sovereignty. It asks less theatre and more truth, fewer announcements and more kept promises. A glass of water brought to your desk before noon every day re-instructs the body more deeply than a complicated cleanse performed with resentment. 5 minutes of uncluttered presence with a friend recalibrates your field more reliably than an hour spent half listening, half scrolling, and fully absent. The field cannot be dazzled, only informed. When you slip, and you will, because you are human, let the return be quick and kind. The old timeline feeds on the shame that follows a wobble. Remove the shame and the loop has nothing to eat. The quickest way back is the one available now. A breath before the reply that would reignite the argument. A hand to the chest before the transfer you cannot afford. An honest no where you would have purchased peace with self-abandonment. Every return is a stitch, and stitched often enough. A new fabric emerges, not delicate, not temporary, but wearable, lived in. Yours. There will be days when you feel nothing happening and suspect you are pretending. Do not mistake quiet for failure. Seeds learn the dark before they meet the sun. Muscles rebuild between the repetitions, not during them. Micro-alignment is the training of invisible systems, hormones, fascia, expectation itself, so that when the visible opportunities arrive, you do not greet them with the old reflex to minimize or delay. You will notice this when decisions that used to take a week resolve in an hour, when emails write themselves because your clarity has reduced the vocabulary required, when strangers treat you as if they had been briefed on your dignity. They have not. They are simply reading a cleaner signal. If you want one anchor to carry from morning to night, let it be this question whispered into each scene. What would feel like respect for the person I am rehearsing? Respect has a way of choosing correctly on your behalf. It stands taller at the checkout line, tips with ease when the budget allows, and with blessing when it is tight. Ends conversations that drain without issuing indictments. Begins projects that scare you without promising guarantees. Respect is coherence with good posture. Walk with it and the field falls into step. This is how a life changes without spectacle. Not by overpowering the past, but by starving it. Not by begging the future, but by behaving as if it had already hired you. The signal, once stable, does the heavy lifting. People find you who were not looking. Paths appear that were not paved. Time, once a cage, becomes elastic enough to hold what matters. Keep turning the dial with these small, exact movements. In the next section, we will widen the orbit from private practice to public presence, so that your outer language, leadership, and choices reinforce what your inner world has decided, and the new timeline becomes not a state you visit, but the place you live. The inner signal is tuned. Now let your words carry it. Language is not decoration, it is architecture. Every sentence places weight on one timeline or another, and reality learns from the way you speak about it. When the nervous system is coherent but the mouth still rehearses the old script, apologies for existing, forecasts of lack, jokes that shrink what is sacred, the field receives mixed instructions. Clean speech removes the static. Begin with promises. In the previous life, promises were bargains against fear. You overcommitted to earn safety, then resented the cost. In the new life, a promise is a precise instrument. Say less, mean more. If you cannot keep it with ease and integrity, do not say it. This restraint is not coldness. It is respect for your time, for theirs, for the signal you are stabilizing. You will notice something curious. Fewer words create more trust. People lean in when they sense you will not spend syllables you cannot back. Next, retire the language of contingency. Phrases like, if everything goes right, unless something comes up and I'll try, teach your body to expect detours. Replace them with tempered certainty. I will be there. This is my decision. Here is what happens next. Certainty is not stubbornness. It is stewardship. If facts change, you will adapt. Until then, speak from alignment, not from the weather. When speaking about money, replace confession with authorship. The old timeline narrates cash flow as drama. The new one narrates it as design. You can be exact without bleeding signal. This is my budget. Here is how I prioritize. This is the return I'm building. Calm specificity is a magnet. Chaos repels support. Clarity invites it. And when generosity moves through you, let your words match the spirit. No grandstanding, no ledger keeping, just a clean yes and a quiet thank you. In love, give your voice the job your armor used to do. Boundaries spoken early spare everyone the cost of guessing. I go slowly. I value direct repair. I need space after conflict and then I return. This is not a test of the other person. It is an orientation to your frequency. Those who can resonate will relax. Those who cannot will reveal it quickly, and you can bless them without building another rescue mission. Leadership is simply coherence that's audible. You need not hold a title to practice it. In rooms where panic expands, let your cadence be slower than the problem. In meetings where attention scatters, ask one clean question that returns the group to purpose. In decisions, name the principle that governs your choice: fairness, momentum, stewardship, and proceed. People remember how they felt when you spoke more than the exact words you chose. Give them steadiness to remember. There is a particular discipline that consolidates this shift. Stop arguing for smallness. Catch the reflex to explain why it cannot work, why you are not ready, why the timing is poor. That was the language of self-protection dressed as prudence. Replace it with exploratory precision. What would make this possible? Which constraint matters most? What is the first domino? Questions like these keep you inside authorship while honoring reality's edges. Humor belongs in the new frequency, but not the kind that wounds your own name. Retire the self-deprecation that used to preempt criticism by delivering it first. It trained the field to see you as less than you are. Trade it for levity that widens the room without lowering your height. Laugh at the process, not at your dignity. There is a moment in every true shift when the work stops feeling like practice and begins to feel like posture. You are no longer visiting coherence. You are wearing it. The world will still make its noise, deadlines, opinions, unexpected turns, but something quieter and stronger is running the room from inside your chest. This is stewardship, the art of tending the timeline you chose until it becomes the ground you stand on. Stewardship does not mean tightening your grip. It means deepening your trust, The old reflex was to manage every variable, to negotiate with outcomes, to sprint when fear said time was running out. Now you move from a different intelligence, one that chooses with clarity and then breathes, one that honors pacing as power, one that understands the fastest way to the destination is to travel at the speed of coherence. You notice how urgency tries to pull you back into the former loop, and instead of arguing with it, you let it pass through like weather. The day keeps its shape because you keep yours. As you live this way, confidence changes flavor. It is no longer volume or performance. It is quiet inevitability. Decisions are simpler because they are made from the frequency that will live with them. You feel the subtle click when something matches, the gentle resistance when it does not. There is no drama in the no. There is no fanfare in the yes. There is only alignment doing what alignment does, organizing reality around a clear signal. People feel it before they can name it. Rooms settle, conversations deepen. Even technology cooperates more often, not because you control anything, but because coherence reduces friction everywhere it goes. Stewardship also asks for tenderness with the parts of you that learn to survive other seasons. Doubt will still try its old costumes. Practical concern, reasonable caution, the voice that calls expansion unrealistic. You do not exile it. You thank it for its service and invite it to rest while the adult of your system drives. This is not denial. It is leadership. The younger strategies that once kept you safe do not need to be shamed. They need to be relieved of duty. Each time you choose presence over panic, you teach your nervous system that safety can be felt in motion, not just in hiding. Over days and weeks, the baseline lifts. What once required effort becomes your default. Living as the signal transforms your relationship with time. You stop measuring progress by distance and start measuring it by density. How fully the desired state fills your minutes. A single hour lived in clean alignment moves a life further than a day scattered across conflicting intentions. You start structuring your world in support of that density. You place conversations where your energy is strongest. You begin and end the day with a deliberate tone. You leave white space that lets guidance be audible. The calendar stops being a cage and becomes an instrument. Relationships reconfigure as well. When you stop auditioning for belonging, the right people recognize you instantly. They are not threatened by your clarity. They are steadied by it. Collaboration becomes a form of prayer. Two signals harmonizing into a field stronger than either could generate alone. Some connections will fade, not as punishment, but as physics. What cannot resonate will drift. You do not push it away, and you do not chase it back. You bless the role it played and keep walking. Inside that kindness is a door. Often, what is truly yours returns in a form that fits your new frequency. Stewardship invites a more sacred approach to resources. Money ceases to be an argument and becomes a messenger, arriving and departing in rhythm with your assignment. You treat it with the same coherence you bring to breath, receive without clutching, release without fear, circulate with intention. The result is surprising. Flow finds you because it can trust you. You are not signaling panic to the field, and so the field does not mirror scarcity back. Abundance reveals itself as a property of alignment, not a prize for performance. There will be days when the air goes heavy. Old weather, old waves, echoes of timelines you no longer live in. On those days, you remember that stewardship is not proven by how rarely you falter, but by how gracefully you return. You know the feel of your chosen signal now, the weight in your feet, the warmth behind your sternum, the wideness of your breath, and you come back to it like you would to a home with the lights on. No ceremony, no self-critique, just return. Each return shortens the distance between stumble and presence until the stumble itself becomes part of the dance. As you keep this tempo, your sense of purpose clarifies. Purpose is not the thunderclap you were taught to chase. It is the pattern left behind by 1,000 coherent choices. It shows up in how you answer the phone, how you write the email, how you say yes, how you say no, how you stand in a doorway and decide who you are before you walk through it. The small is not small. It is the fabric of the timeline. Treat it with that reverence and it will carry you further than any grand gesture performed from misalignment ever could. Most of all, stewardship is an offering. You are not only tending your life, you are tending the field we share. Coherence is contagious. The steadiness you cultivate makes it easier for others to remember themselves. You will see it in their shoulders dropping, in their questions growing braver, in the way possibilities start finding them too. You did not lecture. You demonstrated. You did not convince. You resonated. This is how a single signal becomes a song. And so, as this chapter closes, feel the shift you have already made. You began by looking for a door. Now you carry the key. You began by asking the field to change. Now you are the field changing. Keep choosing the posture that makes you most honest. Keep tending the hour you are in, as if it were the whole timeline. Because in the physics that matters, it is. When the mind asks, is it working? Answer with your breath. When the world asks, who are you? Answer with your walk. And when the next invitation arrives, and it will, meet it as the signal you have become.